Emotional Regulation Workshop recording number 2. Hello everyone and welcome to our recording of our Emotional Regulation Workshop session 2. My name is Alison Last and I'm an assistant psychologist with the Primary Care Psychology Department. Today we're going to cover emotions, so we're going to learn a little bit about what these are and what their function is. We're going to look at emotional regulation and how the different parts of the brain are involved in this. We will then take a closer look at two emotions that children commonly have difficulties regulating. These are anger and anxiety. Finally, we're going to discuss play and how this can be a useful tool in forming the building blocks of emotional regulation. We will provide some links to videos over the course of the workshop, and there will also be time for brainstorming sessions during the workshop where we might ask you to pause the recording so that you can jot down a few things on paper. The video link we provided in the first session recording, Why Do We Lose Control of Our Emotions, explains the upstairs and downstairs parts of the brain. When a child or adult becomes dysregulated, the downstairs brain has become activated. This is the more primitive, threat-focused part of the brain. The connection to the more rational, reasoning upstairs part of the brain has become entangled. Now I'm going to talk to you about the hand model of the brain. If you make a fist with your hand, this is what we call the hand model. Remember how you have a left side and a right side to your brain. Well, you also have an upstairs and a downstairs part of your brain. The upstairs brain is more logical, rational, and is involved in thinking and planning. This part helps you to make good decisions and do the right thing, even when you are feeling really upset. Now, if you lift your fingers a little bit, we can see your thumb. That's the part of the brain that's in the downstairs area, and it is where your really big feelings come from, the emotional part of your brain. It lets you care about other people and feel love. It lets you feel sad and upset, or mad and frustrated, or worried and scared. It also lets you feel really happy and excited. There's nothing wrong with feeling upset or feeling worried sometimes. That is a normal feeling, especially when your upstairs brain helps you to calm down. For example, close your fingers again and see how the upstairs thinking part of your brain is touching your thumb, so it can help your downstairs brain express your feelings calmly. Sometimes when we get really upset or worried, we can flip our lid. I want you to raise your fingers like this and see how your upstairs brain is no longer touching your downstairs brain. That means it can't help it to stay calm. So the next time you feel yourself starting to flip your lid, make a brain model with your hand. Put your fingers straight up, then slowly lower them so that they're hugging your thumb. This will be your reminder to use your upstairs brain to help you calm those big feelings down in the downstairs brain. As parents, when our children have flipped their lid, the aim is to try and help them to stabilize again so that they can re-engage their upstairs brain. We generally aim to do this using the following sequence. Regulation. Firstly, being there for your child when possible. Also, supporting their use of strategies aimed at regulating the downstairs brain to bring your child to a place where they are calmer and there can be some communication between their upstairs and downstairs brain. We then want to relate. We need to relate to them, to what they are feeling, to help them feel safe and accepted so that they don't feel threatened or triggered again, aiming to connect with your child. And finally, reason. We can try to reason with your child and to perhaps better figure out what their needs are, because at this stage they should be able to access their upstairs thinking brain again. Remember the idea of emotional contagion from our first recording? Emotions can be contagious. A parent's emotions or behaviors can trigger certain similar emotions or behaviors in a child. So if a parent is perceived to be threatening in some way, this is likely to activate the child's downstairs brain and have all the repercussions that come with that. So when engaging with the child, Consider if you are likely to exacerbate their threat response even more by your intervention, or if you are likely to start the process of helping them to regulate. This is especially important if their downstairs brain has already taken over. Now we are going to move on to another common feeling that children can struggle with. This feeling is anxiety. It is normal for everyone to feel worried or anxious from time to time. Some people may experience more anxiety than others. Anxiety is our body's way of saying, watch out, there's danger, or something bad might happen. Anxiety can present in a range of different situations and may present differently for everyone. For example, some people may experience anxiety in quite a generalized way, whereas others may only find crowded situations uncomfortable and anxiety-provoking. Others may find public speaking anxiety-inducing, whereas a child attending preschool for the first time may experience anxiety and distress at parental separation. It's not all bad news, though. Anxiety can be adaptive. It alerts us to threats and protects us from danger. When we experience anxiety, it triggers our fight, flight, and freeze response and prepares our body to react. It also helps us to perform at our best. For example, it may motivate us to study for an exam or practice for a performance or a match. When it comes to the fight, flight, or freeze response, symptoms can make sense when we're dealing with real danger. For example, increased breathing rate will increase oxygen to the body, which will allow us to run faster. However, being highly anxious most of the time is emotionally and physically exhausting and leads to hyper-alertness, constant vigilance, racing thoughts, difficulty sleeping, and stress-related medical conditions. We have provided you with the link in the current slide. Please pause the recording and type this link into YouTube. But when does anxiety become a problem? Anxiety becomes problematic when it significantly impacts on a child's daily functioning across different domains, for example, school, at home, with their relationships, and with their friendships. When a child engages in avoidance behaviors, for example, school avoidance. When it causes a child to experience significant distress and persistent worry. When it results in challenging behavior, for example, tantrums or anger outbursts. When a child is constantly using safety behaviors such as clinging to a parent during separation or persistently seeking reassurance to manage their anxiety. It is important to note that although safety behaviors provide relief in the short term, they maintain the vicious cycle of anxiety in the long term. Children and young adults may have difficulty recognizing, understanding, and talking about anxiety. Signs of anxiety for children and young adults may be subtle, so we need to look for physical, verbal, and behavioral signs and know the child well. Identifying triggers and recognizing when your child is beginning to feel anxious is the key to using these strategies effectively. I would like to invite you to pause the recording and consider the following. What are your child's anxiety triggers? And what are some signs that your child may be feeling anxious? You can write these down on a piece of paper and reflect on your answers. Anxiety can manifest itself with physical symptoms in the body. Some bodily symptoms of anxiety include increased heart rate, palpitations, muscle aches and tension, fatigue, nausea, chest pain, shortness of breath, stomach aches, breathing quickly, blurred vision, sweaty palms, dry mouth, a lump in the throat, or physically trembling. There are also verbal signs of anxiety, including saying that they are anxious, stressed, or worried, but can't say why, making distressed sounds, using different terms like bored or sick, constantly seeking reassurance, constantly asking about what will happen next, and becoming more talkative or less talkative. The child may also verbally express apprehension or dread, a belief that bad things will happen. Obsessive thoughts and negative thinking patterns can also be present. Behavioral signs of anxiety can include things like difficulty sleeping, irritability, running away, isolation, tiredness, eating less or eating more, avoidance, and anger outbursts. Fears and worries are a normal part of child development, and the content of fears changes according to the individual's developmental stage. Some of the common anxieties and fears for each of the developmental stages include, for toddlers, there is the fear of the dark, imaginary creatures, potential burglars, and separation. In early childhood, natural disasters, bodily injury, animals, supernatural beings, media-based events, and staying alone. In middle childhood, poor performance at school or sports, tests and exams, death, thunder, and lightning. And in adolescence, there is a fear of peer rejection, personal appearance, future, school, and home life. We would like to ask you to stop and think about what you currently do to support your child when they are feeling anxious or worried. You can fill in your answers on a piece of paper so that you can reflect on them later. Communication is key in supporting your child with emotional regulation difficulties. It is also important to mind yourself in this, as you can't pour from an empty cup. Parental self-care is so critical. One of the best ways to engage and communicate, especially with younger children, is through play. There are so many benefits of play. Children learn through play even when the play is non-directive and contains no teaching. Play builds the parent-child relationship. Play develops children's speech and language. In fact, speech and language therapists use play to help children who are struggling with language development. Play develops social skills. There is research that shows that engaging in rough and tumble play is very good for building children's confidence and for helping them to manage aggressive feelings. Play can even be fun for parents. Play is a time for just enjoying your child, which with busy family schedules and worries about the child's difficulties can sometimes be forgotten about. Our special play is a little different than normal play. It is a highly child-centered form of play and a type of play which has many benefits for your child. In this type of play, the parent's role is to watch and comment on the child's play. The child is meant to have control of the play. The parent should restrict their activity to describing out loud what the child is doing. However, the parent can get physically involved with the play if the child asks them to. Key features of special play include praise, so praising the child for things that they might find difficult, for example, being patient, as well as general praise, for example, I do like playing with you. Affection, so maybe a stroke of the child's hair or an arm around their shoulder. Imitation, mimicking the child or repeating back what they say. This subtle gesture tells the child that the parent is attending fully and approves of what they are doing. Preparation for ending. This means giving the child a warning that their play session is about to end and links it to a more concrete activity that the child can understand. For example, doing something one more time. This reduces the chance of the child becoming upset when the play session finishes. No criticism. Even if you think that the play is silly or doesn't make sense, be careful not to pass this on. This play is about having a lovely, positive, friendly time with your child. No leading. The child is in charge completely of what is going on in the play. This is crucial for developing the child's sense of control over their world. No testing and no questions. It can be so tempting to start asking questions such as what color is this brick? These questions are fine in ordinary play, but not in special play. The child should not have their attention distracted onto topics chosen by the parent. No messages about threat or danger. Anxious parents often find themselves giving out messages about danger and being careful during play. For example, "Oh dear, the tower is getting really high and now it's going to fall." Don't worry if you feel a little awkward or uncomfortable with the idea of special play. It can feel a little different or strange for both the parent and child at the beginning, but with practice and patience, it's very effective in strengthening the parent-child bond, and the child can experience a whole host of benefits. Parents should know that this can be a hard skill to learn, and they shouldn't feel bad if they don't get it right on the first few tries. We have provided you with a link to a YouTube clip that looks at special play. Please feel free to pause the recording to enter the link into your browser. Now we will provide you with some guidance on how to do special play. Join in with your child's game or ask them to choose a game to play with you. Any toy or game will do. Just don't watch television or play computer games. Watch very carefully what your child is doing and comment positively so they know that you're interested. This is called attending. Imitate what your child is doing, but do not take charge of the play. This shows your child that you are interested in what they are doing. Ask your child what they want to do, but don't ask them questions about what they are doing. Asking questions distracts your child from their play and can interfere with their creativity. Do not tell your child what to do during this special play. Giving them control builds up their confidence. Do not try to teach your child anything. We all want our kids to do well at school, and teaching your kids new things is great. However, during this special play, it's all about having fun, so forget about teaching for 10 minutes. There are so many benefits associated with special play. It is a happy time. It can help build children's sense of confidence, security, and control. It can also increase parental empathy towards the child and builds a foundation of trust. In particular, it helps to build confidence. Some of the key points that we hope that you take home from today's recording are that it is normal and healthy for children to experience a wide range of emotions as they are developing. It is important for us to regulate ourselves before we attempt to help a child to regulate. We want to further emphasize the importance of self-care for parents. Improving emotional regulation in children can impact positively on their daily functioning. Anger and anxiety are two of the most common emotions that children can struggle to regulate. Play is a fun and lovely way to engage children, improve communication, and is a building block for emotional regulation. Being able to identify and communicate our emotions, we can then choose strategies and seek to support to manage them. We are going to highly recommend 2 fun activities to do at home. So the first one, we think it would be really useful to set aside some family time to watch the film Inside Out. The film is available on Disney Plus or can be rented on YouTube. We would also recommend that you set aside 10 minutes each day for special play with your child. We are aware that parents and families have busy schedules, so it might be important to think about when would be a good time for this play. We really hope that these will be enjoyable activities to do with your child and will set the stage to begin supporting them to manage their emotions. So for our next session, we're going to look at low mood, and we're also going to look at some parenting strategies that can help with emotional regulation. Thank you for listening to this workshop recording, and remember, all kids need is a little help, a little hope, and somebody who believes in them.